Trump gains direct control of the SEC and CFTC. Crypto enforcement turns political. A Supreme Court decision that strips away 91 years of firing protection for independent agency heads has a consequence the crypto industry is still working through. The president now holds direct removal leverage over the two agencies that police digital assets in the United States. Coin Bureau flagged the ruling on July 2, 2026, as giving the administration complete control over financial regulators. The Securities and Exchange Commission and the Commodity Futures Trading Commission both sit inside that category. Crypto barely reacted on price. Bitcoin traded at $6,753, up 2.5% on the day, as of July 2, 2026, with Ether at 1,631 and Solana up 3.6% at 78.26. The Fear and Greed Index read 20, deep in fear territory. The market moved on macro flows, not on the structural change to who runs its regulators. That gap between a quiet tape and a loud institutional shift is the part worth reading closely. The removal power changes the incentive, not just the personnel. The precedent that fell dated to 1935 and limited a president's ability to dismiss commissioners at independent agencies without cause. That protection was the mechanism behind the phrase independent agency. An SEC or CFTC chair served a fixed term and could hold a position the White House disliked without risking their job. Removing the protection does not by itself change any rule on the books. It changes what an agency head is willing to do. A regulator who can be fired at has a different relationship with the executive branch than one who cannot. Enforcement priorities, the pace of rulemaking, and the appetite to open or drop investigations all become easier to steer from outside the agency. For crypto, an industry whose treatment has swung from lawsuit-heavy hostility to open-door engagement inside a few years, that steering wheel now sits in fewer hands. Enforcement posture becomes an election variable. U.S. crypto oversight runs almost entirely through these two bodies. The SEC drove the securities law fights with exchanges and token issuers. The CFTC has cast itself as the lighter touch home for Bitcoin and Ether as commodities, and pending market structure legislation would expand its remit further. With removal power consolidated, the direction of both agencies can shift when the White House shifts. That cuts against the case the industry has spent years making. Firms lobbied for clear, durable rules precisely so they could build without guessing at the next enforcement wave. A framework that can be reoriented by a change in administration is the opposite of durable. A friendly SEC today does not guarantee a friendly SEC after the next election because the insulation that used to slow such reversals is gone. Companies planning multi-year custody, listing, or stablecoin roadmaps now have to price in political turnover as a live regulatory risk. The practical read for people holding and spending crypto. For most users, nothing changes this week. Exchanges still operate, stablecoins still settle, and crypto cards still swipe. The near-term effect is on the companies behind those products and how confidently they can plan. Two second-order risks are worth tracking. First, custodial exposure. Custodial exchanges and card issuers depend on a predictable licensing and enforcement environment. An SEC that can turn sharply with the administration raises the odds of abrupt posture changes for the firms holding customer balances. That is one more reason some users weigh cards that spend from your own wallet, where the provider never takes custody of your funds and cannot freeze them in a regulatory crunch. Second, stablecoin oversight. Dollar-backed stablecoins are the settlement layer for most crypto card spending, and their federal treatment is still being written. If that rulemaking now flexes with each administration, the ground under stablecoin issuers gets less stable, whatever the marketing says. None of this is a market timing signal. It is a governance change that raises the volatility of U.S. crypto policy itself. The prices moved on other things today. The rules may move on this later.